All right, we are live in between the first and second period here, or almost about between the first and second period. We got 41 seconds left, but we're going to get going on this because, well, I just pressed the live button, so there we go. It is another episode of Making It Rain, and as always, my co-host Joe Patarino's on the docket, man. How you doing?
Very good, my man. Very good. How are you?
Good. Just heavily distracted, obviously, starting this before the period ended. I got the NFL draft going on. I got this going on. Whirlwind of emotions with Brownie retiring, like heads all over the place here, and so I just it's all over the place. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Since we last spoke, obviously the Kings have clinched. This Dustin Brown news, came out of nowhere today. What was your, I guess, initial reaction to hearing it?
Well, yeah, let's just get straight into it. First, captain, my captain. First topic here. It was out of nowhere. Like I was at lunch having tacos, and I just happened to put on Twitter because I've been waiting for Deebo Samuel to get traded all day today. Like what the news was. Like refreshing Twitter constantly, and then I didn't expect this news at all. And I was like, oh, just blown away. And it's such a Brownie move to do it now when this is just the last game. Like he only wanted one hurrah. I'm sure Kings fans would have liked him to do it, a couple games ago where, he would have went out at Staples during the regular season because the playoffs isn't really time for, ceremonies and stuff like that, at least in my opinion. So I'm sure Kings fans wished it was a couple games ago, but man, just crazy thing going on. Obviously, he got to wear the C tonight, which is a touching little memento there. And somebody was cutting onions when I saw him wear it, and it just tons of emotions. Him raising the cup. I don't want to hog all of them. What was your thought? I mean, I saw that picture you posted.
Yeah, no, it was. First of all, I was just out of nowhere. Like, I actually checked. I had to double check to make sure like who I saw tweet it first. I think it was Dennis Bernstein. I had to make sure it was actually him and not like some parody account that was just screwing around. I've been fooled before, but it's crazy. I think back to those, obviously the Cups, he was almost, he was on the trade block, the rumor mill anyway. He scores the hat trick, and that kind of turns the season for him and kind of sets the stage for the rest of the season. They go on, they win the Cup. He's got the big series against Vancouver with the big hit on Henrik Sedin. He's got the shorthanded goals. Like it was just everything went right. And yeah, for me, like personally, I actually have a couple like minor personal stories. Like I actually played against him. Ithaca's not far from where I'm from, just a couple hours away. We were peewees, and we were heading to Ithaca, and I had the privilege I had the task of shadowing him. I held him to 3 goals, and I took a penalty in doing so. So that didn't go very well.
So you held him to 3 goals, and then you literally held him. Yeah.
I said the heck with this. So then, after the second Cup, a really good friend of mine, one of my good friends lives right in that Ithaca area, and he went there with the Cup and got a chance to meet Dustin, take a picture with him in the Cup, he was really nice to do so. So it was really cool. And one of the biggest takeaways for me too is, it's not that often you see a guy who sure he's in the later part of his career, but he still had plenty of years left, and they take the C away from him. Like you don't see that stuff happen too often. Yeah. And he just played hockey, right? There was no drama, that at least anything that, got out publicly. So he carries himself well, the model captain, and just by all accounts, just a heck of a human being. So he's certainly going to be missed, and hopefully the Kings got one more deep run for him.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And like you just look at, obviously first person to ever hold the Cup for LA.
Yeah.
he's going to retire. I believe I saw this retire with the NHL career lead in hits.
Yes, I did see that.
And it's just crazy, he just the way he throws his body around. I don't think there's enough. I mean, Ovechkin hits a lot too, but you don't really see a premier goal scorer like in Dustin Brown or a captain, just laying people out left and right, and he still does it, and it's just part of his game. And I think when you have the captains that go to war for you, I think that's why a lot of people were upset, and they still call him, hey, this is my captain.
Yep.
Because they believe that was kind of a preemptive move on the organization's part. Who knows how he really took it, or if he was happy for Kopitar to pass the guard. But it happened, but those memories. I mean, he was the MVP, I think, of the first cup, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but
he was awesome. Yeah, I mean, from a physical standpoint, he scored, like I said, he scored some big goals. And it's funny, Jesse Cohen over at All the King's Men, he made a comment today, and I couldn't agree more. I can vividly picture watching this game on TV against the Blues when he scored the empty net goal to lock in the sweep, and I get chills just talking about it. Like, I remember that moment, like, this is happening. The Kings are sweeping the Blues. They're on their way to the conference final. Like, it was the real deal. And I remember that goal. There's so many moments from that run for Dustin Brown. It just, hey, we all knew this day was coming. I think it was a bit of a surprise that it happened today, but good on him. He's going to go out on his own terms.
And can you have a better goal pitcher, like the one he's raising and his teeth are missing, and like that's just perfect.
The hockey
perfect
player.
Brownie, and I think he would be sorely missed. And not that we don't want to rank legends, because there's been a lot of good players, but I don't think there's been. I would say he probably done more for Kings hockey than even Wayne Gretzky did because of the winning. I mean, Wayne Gretzky probably did more for hockey in LA, period. And
right,
but as far as specifically the Kings, I think he's probably up there as one.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Ironically, I actually haven't even thought about that, but it's hard not to say he's at least in that discussion. I think, Luc Robitaille is another one that's probably up there too for all that he's done for the organization. Obviously, he's still involved in the organization, but yeah, I mean, Dustin Brown, and listen, he led the team to a couple of cups, and he's the first King to touch the cup, and that means something. And again, as Kings fans, you get chills just thinking about that, and when you saw that moment. So, again, I think you have a lot of guys that don't get a chance to kind of go out on their own terms. Sometimes it's injury, sometimes they get phased out, and I think Dustin Brown has showed he still can play at the NHL level. I mean, he's just a season removed from a pretty big year last year, so good for him. Good for him.
Do you think this came down to his choice, or do you think this was maybe the lack of interest in re-signing him for next season from the Kings?
I think it's a very fair question. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of conversation. I mean, I have to imagine there's a respect level there that he and Blake and the organization had those conversations, and so perhaps that something like that played into it. Yes, that wouldn't be surprising. And maybe there's some sort of a position at the organization that Dustin Brown will be involved in. Who knows? If I had to guess, obviously I'm speculating, sure. But it's obviously hard to say.
Yeah, I could see him taking a couple of years off and then coming back and being part of the organization. His home's always been there in LA.
Yeah.
But maybe he goes straight recluse like some of the Kings players of old and just living, just live in silence. But we'll see how that goes out. I mean, obviously the tip of the cap or stick to the ice to you, Dustin Brown. It just phenomenal career, great player, just so many good memories, and he's going to be missed now. Now the Cup team is down to 3 left on the team. It's slowly getting evaporated. Just very sad. It's very sad.
We knew this day was coming, man.
Well, sad and happy news, but now we're going to go to happy news here. All-Star nods. Talking about the AHL All-Star nods. 3 players were selected from the Reign. Tynan, I believe Firk, and Spence. Am I correct? I got that written down.
You got it.
I mean, you would hope that Tynan with him almost breaking the assist record, on his pace for another MVP. Ferk, putting holes in over 40 nets in the back there. And then Spence, was just an assist machine and still got the nod without even playing down there for the last 2 months. He could have been on pace to break the assist record for a defenseman. Who knows? And so I think well-deserved. Obviously, the top two were kind of, we talked about Tynan in the beginning of the year, probably the best signing the Reign have had. A lot of people pictured Ferk playing with the Kings this season because of his shot, kind of a last-minute thought for the Reign, in our preseason mock-up, but just that pairing with him and Tynan and that power play just been so dynamic this whole season.
It really has been, and they've been so fun to watch. It's kind of
you can add Spence to that, right? He's off and on in those assists for whoever scores.
Exactly. Since Jersey went up, Spence has manned that top unit, and it's kind of crazy to think, Martin Ferk, he's got 40 goals, and he's on the second All-Star team. But again, there's a lot of good players when you're narrowing it down like this. But just huge seasons out of all three, and I think it is impressive for Spence to get the nod as a rookie. And as you mentioned, playing the last 20 some odd games with the Kings, it shows how big of an impact that he had on the Reign and in the AHL. And he was nodded to, was it last week or just a few days back, the all rookie team as well in the AHL.
Yeah.
So heck of a first year pro or a pro season for Jordan Spence. No doubt about that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, man, they had the best power play in hockey, upwards of over 30% for most of the season, largely a part of these three guys. Yep. And obviously we'll see, on our next topic about Jordan Spence, maybe for the AHL playoffs, but just great season from those guys. Carried the team. They're going to have to carry the team in the playoffs for us to go far. But just tip of the angler's cap to you, my friend, for getting those well-deserved, notations there. Let's move it on to the Spence Effect. So this is just kind of like a hypothetical topic here for everybody listening. Obviously he's playing tonight as we speak. He was on the second power play, but the Kings get back Mikey Anderson. I know he's on the other side, but now that team is loaded with defense. A lot of them who can't play. I mean, we have, 5 guys on the left, so to speak. And you have 4 on the right. Has Spence earned a spot game 1 against Edmonton in your eyes over Troy Stetcher, or does he go down and play right D1 for the Reign?
I definitely keep him up. I keep him up. Listen, and that's not a total knock on Stetcher. Like, I don't think he's been bad per se. But man, Spence brings just a different element. And I think he's early on here. I don't want to say I was going to say he's the real deal, but it's way too soon to jump too far ahead here. But he's been really, really good and really impressive. And I think you're going to have a guy that can skate like he skates, move pucks quickly, and have the opportunity when presented to push the pace and get up in the offensive zone against a team like Edmonton. So I keep him around. And I guess I can understand the situation where, if they prefer in a game to play Stetcher and have Spence sit a game out, I can get that. But I play him. I keep him here and I play him. I would start him. I would have him on the right side with Jersey and Roy, and Stetcher would be my odd man on the right side. I'm in on Spence. I don't see why not. And listen, this is not how Todd McClellan should look at this. Okay. He's the coach. He's trying to win. It's not at this point, we're in the playoffs. It's not about development. So I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying that, but this is such a good opportunity. Who the Kings were at best like a bubble team. Most people didn't have them in. Some people that were leaning Kings fans perhaps had them in or contention. Now you're going to get an opportunity to have some of these guys, the Byfields, Spence, Jersey, maybe we'll see if Velarde gets in any action, Kapari. These guys are going to get some playoff time. Kaliev, this is crucial for a team that now next year you are absolutely looking to make playoffs and make a little bit of a run. This is big, and I don't think Spence has shown that he can't handle it. So that being the case, until he shows he can't do it, I play him.
And Jaw agrees with you here. Thank you for tuning in there, Jaw, on the YouTube Live. I agree as well. And I think you obviously, not that the rain playoff is not important. Obviously, we're covering the rain here on Making It Rain. But the big club comes first. And so if you think that Spence deserves to be there, then he deserves to be there. I think another thing, even though the power play hasn't been great, he's really the only other power play QB that they have on the defensive side.
Right.
I know Edler has some skills there that you could possibly use, but he's not as dynamic as Jordan Spence.
And he's going to play PK. Like, you want to make sure you want to keep him as kind of in check as possible from a minute standpoint. So yeah, I mean, Spence should be, and he should be running the second unit too. So yeah, I'd Spence for me.
Yeah, and so here's a question for you that I just really thought of off the top of my dome here. Is this a chance for I mean, I know national television isn't really a dictator for scouts because they're doing their job. It doesn't matter where the team is playing, but the LA doesn't really get a lot of national pub. Obviously, we're plus 6,000 to win the Stanley Cup. So people don't really think the highest of our team. We punched up all year. We don't get really many national games. If Jordan Spence balls out or Jersey balls out in this first round, with the loaded right side we keep talking about, it elevates their draft stock to a tradable piece for a top line player next season.
Yes, probably.
Teams want a prospect has already shown in the National Hockey level that they can play.
Right. I guess where I'm coming from with this is I'm at the point where I've said it, like, I'd rather try not to, if you don't have to move these guys, particularly now with Faber staying in college. There's a little bit less of that kind of logjam we've talked about. We have to also keep in mind, like, Spence is a first-year pro who was not at all expected to make the NHL, had such an impact in the AHL. Like, there is no issues for me if Jordan Spence starts next season in Ontario. Like, I got no problem with that. Let him there's no need to, he's done really well right now in the NHL. That's great. But if he has to start next season from a numbers standpoint in the AHL, I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's going to hurt him or anything like that development-wise. Let him run the show down there. I think that'll be fine. So barring some sort of really, really big-time player, I'm not itching to trade either of these two because, kind of as you alluded to, they've both shown to be pretty effective players at the NHL level, at least so far. So and with the logjam a little bit less, if there's ways they can address their needs without trading Spence or Jersey, and then I would definitely try to hang on to them.
The depth has helped this team make the playoffs this season.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously they had to sign a bunch of PTOs for the rain, and some of those guys played well, Casastool and everything like that, but the depth of our prospect pool saved the Kings season.
It's a good way to put it.
In March. Yeah. So let's get to our wonderful sponsors here in DraftKings before we get to the second half of this show here. Hockey fans, feel the action on the ice like never before with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NHL. Right now, new customers can bet just $1 on any team and win and get $150 in free bets if they do. If Sportsbook is available in your state, you can still hit the ice for cold, hard cash. New customers can make their first deposit and play free for thousands of DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. Draft your lineup of 8 skaters and a goalie and rack up points for goals, assists, saves, and more. DraftKings is safe, secure, reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Just bet $1 on any NHL team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NHL. 21 years of age, restrictions apply. See show notes for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be assessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537 in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Wyoming. 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, New Hampshire. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. In Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-877-77-STOP in Louisiana, 877-846-7369 in New York. Visit opgr.org in Oregon. Call or text Tennessee Redline, 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee, or 888-532-3500 in Virginia. 21 years of age apply, except for in New Hampshire and Wyoming, 18 or older. Physically present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Only minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details.
Sound like Johnny Cash there when I'm Going Everywhere Man song.
Yeah.
Rattling off the states. Love it.
So let's get into the Colorado Trifecta, as we called it here. Big games. It didn't end up really coming down to that. Colorado lost a little bit before that. Clinched the second seed for the Reign here. So less drama than maybe what we thought in our last podcast, that it could come down to these three here if Colorado pushed for the second seed. But let's get it going in game one. You're looking at April 20th, the Reign win 5-3 here. Colorado outshot Ontario in the first, but Ontario made those shots count.
I actually thought this was one of Matt Villalta's best periods of the season, and I don't mean to sound like I'm overstating it, but the point blank opportunities he saw, and I think he had 13 shots against that period. He played really, really well. The goal he gave up was a tip in front. Again, numerous big saves that period. TJ Tynan, in his return to Colorado, they gave him a nice little tribute there, which was nice. Ironically, scores on a slap shot, which you don't see very often from him on the right circle on the power play to get things going. So
his 14th of the season.
Yeah, and I'll also point out on the second goal, on Akil Thomas's goal, Nusayainen with a really nice little rush, great zone entry, did a little shimmy at the just inside the blue line to kind of buy himself a little bit of time, makes a nice play in front of the net. So that was really good to see. He's shown some spurts, man. I'm a fan of his. So
there's some plethora. We had a plethora of these defensemen that got these little shimmy moves and their offensive game, and
it's all right.
And I'm liking it. And we're going to add the big dog in the defensive next year in Clark, maybe not to the Reign, but to the Kings. As we are live here, the second period has started. 17 minutes left. Kings out shooting Vancouver 17-5. Hopefully they can put the first one on the board. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Martin Kraut. We talked about it the last time they played the Eagles. A guy who's kind of been lost in the sauce for Colorado, gets his 19th of the year, and maybe when there's some more room on that juggernaut of a team, he can get an opportunity. Or maybe they trade him away and let him find greener pastures, but buried one here to end the first period.
Yeah, he picked up some points in these three games. They've got some players on that team. That Dylan Sakura found his way. He had opportunities all 3 games, so he's another one. But yeah, he had a nice tip in front.
So going to the second period here, Sakura, like you said, gets his 30th. Akil Thomas back on the board, number 6, gets his second of the game from Frederick Allard and TJ Tynan, putting 80 on this season, again on the power play this time.
Yep, and this was a rebound. Allard with a heavy shot he's got, by the way, from the point, and he banged home the rebound. And as I know you'll get to in a little bit, another power play goal later from that bumper position. He's shown to be very, very effective in that. And being able to score in kind of multiple ways in that spot and be effective in doing different things. So really nice game here from Akil Thomas.
Yeah, if you're going to foreshadow, he gets the last power play goal, making it a hat trick. And good for him. It's slowly coming on. And like you said, in that bumper roll, the Reign have been finding right-handed shot guys to just plug and play with TJ Tynan. And again, if you looked at the power play in the Vancouver game, they had Iafallo in the bumper roll, and he's trying to angle his body for a little tapper, But I did see a kind of a cool move that I haven't seen before for the Kings before we go back to the Reign. Mm-hmm. Kopitar dished it down to Brown below the net, and then kind of rushed the guy wasn't paying attention. He kind of rushed the net for maybe a tap towards the goal and kind of cycled positions. And they also had Dursey on the one-time spot and had Kempe playing quarterback. So They were kind of rotating around a little bit more. We'll see if that continues for them to explore that. But going back to this Colorado game, Tynan gets 82, on it by assisting in Jared Anderson Zolan. So what is that? 3 assists a night and 1 goal for Tynan and 3 goals for Akil Thomas here.
Yeah, and the thing with Thomas on that third goal and the hat trick, you see, like, again, it's these guys, and I talk about it with Anderson Dolan when he plays down low. Akil Thomas is doing the same thing in that bumper roll. You have to be able to read and react and then move. So Tynan gets the puck, he drops it so initially when Tynan has it and he's skating down low, you see Thomas trying to get himself into a position just in case he's needed there. As that goes away, Tynan drops it to Allard, who then brings it, and Thomas, very astute, he pops himself out. He separates himself from the penalty killer, gets himself into a shooting position. It's dropped, and he fires it right away. And he's got a very quick release that we've talked about before. So you have to, in that bumper position, you can't just stand there. You have to be able to move, but move effectively. Make sure you're always in a position to where your feet are in a position to where you're able to make whatever that next play is, right? If it's a shot, if you're just bumping it off to either the wall or up high or even down low, you have to be able to do that. I've talked about, I think it's what the Kings lack, and it's what the Reign have been able to just plug in all these guys that have done it, and they've done it really, really well. Thomas has been great.
Excellent game here for him. And if you look at Matthew Villalta saves 33 of 36 for 58 minutes there on ice. So going into the next game here, you're looking at a 6-4 loss to the Eagles. Colorado just peppering the net, 19 shots on goal in the first period, and no surprise, they get out quick 2-0 with goals from Andres England and Jacob McDonald. Just not it didn't seem like Ontario came out to play in the beginning.
This was all, honestly, like you mentioned how Colorado had 36 some odd shots in the first game. That was the fewest that they had in the 3 games. So that gives you an idea of how these 3 games went. Like, Colorado's a pretty scary team right now. And I understand the Reign. Listen, we're human beings. So they were locked into their position. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into it, but they were definitely second best through a lot of these 3 games here. And that is definitely the case with this first period in the second game.
Yeah, you're looking at it. Then the Colorado Eagles score right away in the second with Kiefer Sherwood, 36th of the year. And then back-to-back with Andres Wingerly getting an unassisted. And it was just downhill from there. You're looking at 5-0 after Dennis Gilbert. And so you're wondering, hey, is this team going to make a fight? And the guy that came through again on the power play, Akil Thomas, with his age of the season, assisted by Tynan. Tynan really wants to make a run for this assist record.
Can what really is kind of a testament to TJ Tynan? So we've talked about how the Reign have been able to plug in a few different guys into the bumper roll, and they always are effective. They've been able to now have, this is their third, I guess if you count Kale Clegg at the start of the season, this would be their 4th kind of PP quarterback on this unit. Well, they had Helgi Grans for a couple games too. Allard is stepping in and doing just fine. I honestly, that's a testament to TJ Tynan to me, because he's the cog that kind of, it all runs through him really on that right wall. And they've been able to plug in these other pieces that have been able to be effective around him. So it's just, you got a player that just makes everyone around him better. And you, again, as we've raved about him all season, you can see why he won the MVP last year, and you can see why he's going to be at least in the discussion this year. So, but yes, another Thomas who's heating up at the right time heading into playoffs.
Starting into the third period, Jacob McDonald gets his 10th on the power play, and then Villalta's night is done after that. They pull him after 42 minutes on ice. David Hrenek comes on and then stops 8 out of 8. What did you see? What have you seen from David Hrenek so far? Obviously got the shutout. We didn't discuss that game. Maybe shame on us for not doing that. But gets the shutout in the game before the Colorado series, and then here stops 8 of 8. What have you seen from him? We talked about his steadiness in his calmness as far as from St. Cloud. Has that translated to the AHL in your eyes?
Completely. Like it's, you don't want to go too crazy, especially after the first game he gets a shutout. I mean, it's one game, and obviously here he's only seen limited action here so far, but definitely a different goalie than, say, Villalta, who does rely on a lot of his athleticism and making different types of saves, where Hrenek is very quiet in net, very much more, I think, I would say, a technical goaltender than say, Villalta is. I've really liked what I saw. He, like you said, he came in relief. And I'm telling you, the third game, I know the Reign lost 5-1 that we haven't gotten to yet. I'm like, talk about point blank shots, multiple breakaways, odd man rushes. Like they threw everything they could have at him. And so he really got, he got tested quite a bit in the third game in his second start of the season. So really have liked what we've seen. I know there's a lot of question marks in the organization from fans, at least, about what's going on in goal, who's behind Quick, is Cal going to be the guy, who's a prospect? Like it's still very early. Like these goalies can take time. I still think there could be something there with Ingham or Parikh. And I think David Hrenek he's at least shown really well so far. So,
quick question here. And we're going to get to the playoff matchups, but they start May 4th and May 5th on a back-to-back. If the Reign lose game one and Villalta is bad in the pipes, do you think that they go to Hrenek for game two on the second half of a back-to-back? Has he shown enough to you think they earn that? Is it depending on how bad Villalta looks, or
I think it would have to be pretty bad from Villalta. I think that they've come this far. Villalta has now, this is his second full season. I understand that it's pro hockey. You play who you think gives you the best chance, but I do wonder if it's been two starts for Hrenek, if they've really even seen enough to have that type of trust in him. I like the question. I think they're going Villalta. I think it's Villalta.
Dying on the sword with the V-Man, huh?
I think so.
One time making it rain guest, making it rain alum.
That's right.
And so I think you're probably right too. I think if he gets just peppered and it's like a 5-1 loss or a 6-1 loss, which I don't predict it to be, then maybe. But it's shown that he has been able to play for the most part. Obviously Colorado in the game three, like you mentioned, just the defense was atrocious.
Awful.
And so not putting his guy up in the best spot there. So you're looking at going into the third period here. Kings with some life towards the end. The goalie changed Spurs a little bit. Frederick Allard with a power play goal with that missile you alluded to. TJ Tynan, 84th of the year. Kiel Thomas with an assist. We're just reading the same names over and over again, it seems like, in these first two games. And then Allard gets a goal on a 5-on-5.
Another heavy shot from the point, by the way.
Yeah. Christian Wolanin with the 17th, quietly putting up 17 assists this season. Yep. And Andre Lee with his second of the year.
I've liked Wolanin. I think we've talked about him before. He's a solid guy. You can plug him in first pair to third pair. You can plug him in AHL, NHL. His game translates. Like I think he's just a really good and solid defenseman to have in the organization, because you can use him wherever you need him.
Is it me, or is it like both him and Wolanin and Mavar are just they're just steady? Like, they just seem steady. Like, and I obviously, if there wasn't a first round guy in Bjornfoot and a guy making $2-something million in Mata, do you think that they'd be getting more opportunities, or do you think they're not that good? They just are good in the spots that they've been asked to play.
I think Wolanin is solid in where you need him to play. I don't know that he's a guy I'd want in my top six like every single night in the NHL, but you can spot him where you need him. Moverari, he's not quite as good of a skater and pure puck mover, I would say, as Wolanin is, but boy, he is really steady. I think he's shown pretty well here too with the Kings.
And as Russell alluded to in his, that's Russell Morgan at NHL Russell for Hockey Royalty, alluded to that he believes no sources or anything like that, but he believes that Mavari has proved enough to start game one and allow Mikey Anderson, another, a couple days after to come back from the injury. I don't know if you feel that way, but
I love it. I listen. I think it's obviously going to depend on where they feel maybe Mikey Anderson is, if he's up to speed, because he's going to get a little bit of game action, and then here's Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So
yeah,
it's going to be. We'll see. I mean, it's at some point he's going to have to go in, so it is what it is. But I've liked Moverari. Remember we talked with Sixton, and he joked around at the start of the or early in the season when we talked to him, because it seems like every time I talked to him, I was talking about Moverari. I was such a big fan of his game and what he brought. And I thought he put it very well. Like, you could pick up Moverari from the way and where he was playing, first pair, second pair, third pair in the AHL, pick him up, drop him in the NHL, and he'd be the same player. Like, he's not going to wow you. He's not a flashy skater or with these great hands or anything, but he can play a steady game, a positionally sound game, a smart defensive game. He can make a first pass. He's got a good stick. Like, those are things that he just does, and it translates very well. And I think he's shown that so far. So, like, I think he could easily be a third pair guy for years to come and be that steady kind of Matt Roy from the left side type of defenseman. I really like him.
yeah, I do as well. You're looking at a little update for everybody watching live: 24 shots to 9 with 8:40 left here. Canucks are in the zone, pressuring as we speak. Martin Furt gets his 40th of the year, and Allard with 3 points in the third. Let's see, did he get any star of the game? Not even one star of the game. I know it's hard to do that in a losing effort, but great game by him there. Let's move it over to the third game so we can get back to watching our beloved Kings here. Eagles pepper the Reign 5-1. Not even close the whole game outside the first period, where Jared Anderson-Dolan gets his 20th of the year. And so not the best showing from Hrenek, but like you said, no help at all.
No, and I'll be honest, I actually thought it was a pretty good showing. When you look and watch, I mean, first of all, 49 shots on goal, although there was an empty netter. Sakura scored an empty netter. So he faced 48 shots. He makes 44 saves. And I counted, I think there's 4 breakaways, and like giveaways. And the chances that Colorado had just in the high danger area, in the top of the slot area, like, this was just one of the worst defensive games I think we've seen the Ontario Reign play all season. So, I don't want to hang too much on Hrenek here with the 5, but he made a ton of saves that were high quality chances.
Yeah, so that's what it's going to see. We're to see how that first game, the back-to-back, could be interesting. I still think they go with Full-Alta back-to-back, but it's an interesting preface, especially in the second game. If there's a goal early, will they be quick to press that button and in a do-or-die situation? They need to keep moving on to, obviously we don't want the Kings to lose. We want them to hoist the cup once again for Big DB 23. But if that does happen, we're getting a lot of talent back. They're also getting a lot of talent that's not on the Kings, supposed to be coming back from injury, hopefully sooner rather than later in the Madden, Turcotte, and Gron's dynamic. So
yeah, we'll see if they come back in the final game of the season here in Henderson. That'd be big.
That'd be huge. I haven't seen anything. I don't know if you've had from any. I know actually Jared Shaffrin, congratulations, doing the radio broadcast for the Kings tonight. So congratulations to him on that. So let's get to the Reign player of the week for you with these 3 games. I'll let you start this one off.
He had 2 goals. He had, I think it was 5 assists. Frederick Allard, 7 points. I think he's done pretty well stepping in. Heavy shot. Yeah. He's making it work on the power play. There's a few different guys that we could have gone with, but I'm going to go Frederick Allard.
Nice. Good call. I think I probably got maybe your player B, and I'm going to go Kill Thomas.
Yeah.
Gets the Hattie, gets multiple other goals, some assists there. Great for him, and he's the guy.
Ever since you called him out, pretty much, he's been hot as a pistol.
I know. He listens to us here on Make It Rain. He's like, you know what? I can't disappoint Randon anymore. He's sick of it. It's a great guy. Obviously, he owns Zale, which is a clothing company. So if you guys didn't know that, he makes clothes. So go support his business there and check out some nice clothes there. Also co-host of Souls on Ice. which is a podcast about Black players in the league and everything like that. I mean, they have other guests on as well, but it's a very well done podcast. Thoroughly enjoy that. There's a couple episodes with a QB on there talking hockey. So if you haven't heard about that pod, definitely go check it out. Keel Thomas going in there. So I think he well deserved, and he's going to be a key player. If we don't get some of these players back, he's going to be a key player. And then he's only going to get pushed down the lineup, which is going to benefit the Reign even more.
Yep, absolutely. And he could very well still be on that top unit. If you think about it, Velarde is up with the Kings. Turcotte is not going to.
Yeah,
Turcotte's not going to play the bumper. Madden has played it, but I don't know that he's going to be ready. And even if he is, the way Akil's playing it, there's no reason to move him from there. So wherever he slots in the lineup, he's going to probably play that first PP still.
Yeah, definitely earn that spot. So last topic here. So we could catch the tail end of the second period for everybody still paying attention here live. Playoff matchup, right? So it's already been decided. It's already been, the gods have deemed it, and they've already scheduled it. So they're playing the San Diego Goals going down the I-5 rivalry here, May 4th and 5th and 9th, all at the Toyota Arena. And so go out, get your tickets, sell that place out. We want that loud and proud for us Reign fans to go there. So what is your thought on this matchup? I know that the Goals haven't been great this season. If you're looking at their record, is a losing record, 28-32, 4 overtime losses, 2 shootout losses for 62 points. The Reign, far superior team here. You're looking at a matchup that seems to be in our favor, but sometimes rivalries have a tricky way of deceiving you.
They do, but the Reign have really controlled this series. They won 9 of the 12 games, and actually of the games that were played at Toyota Arena, Ontario went 6-0. They outscored San Diego 26-12 in the home games. I just don't think that San Diego has. There's a couple things. I don't think they have the firepower to keep up with Ontario, even with some of the soldiers that are out of the lineup for the Reign. And they've had a hard time keeping pucks out of the net. San Diego has, and particularly against the Reign. Again, Ontario's averaging over 4 goals a game against them while at home ice. So I on paper, and not even on paper, on the ice, as the way this season has gone, I really think that the Reign should be a team that controls this. It's not as if that San Diego's gotten great goaltending either throughout the season. Lucas Dostal has been okay, but really Ollie Eriksson Ek is again, who is on the season hasn't been great necessarily, but he's actually played okay against the Reign. He was the only guy to shut out Ontario. So perhaps we see Ollie Eriksson Ek get the nod in game 1, and then we'll take it from there. But otherwise, to me, this does seem like a bit of a mismatch. I just think the Reign have just a bit too much firepower and too much depth. And I think their special teams.
And we have an LA Kings goal.
Oh, nice. There we go on the board.
Nice. It looks like a Velarde. I didn't get to see it. We'll see the replay here. Well, I'm not broadcasting anything, but Velarde getting the handshakes there. So making a statement for a roster position for game 1 with a couple pretty snipes the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think my thoughts on Gabe Velarde. I'm a huge fan of his. I'd be surprised if he gets much of a look. I don't know. I know he's had a couple of good games here, but I don't know that McClellan will trust him in a playoff situation. So I guess we'll see.
Might have been tipped by Lizotte.
Lemieux one of those was in front. But yeah, I think that the Reign are a significantly better team. I think they're too deep, particularly if they get some guys back. Their power play is too good. I think this should be a series that, with both games at home especially, or all the games potentially at home, I think the Reign should win this. They should win the first 2 games and move on to the next round.
Yeah, I think the only thing that might trip us up is we've seen lulls in the power play, which has been a staple for the Reign all season. And, that's the one thing that the Goals have done decently well. 80.6% on the PK. So the Reign are going to have to, with their shoddy defense, obviously Colorado, much better team. But if you find lulls in the power play and you're allowed to allow the goals to stay around and they can creep out some wins, I think that's the only way they win. Otherwise, I 100% agree with you. The firepower is just going to be too great.
Yeah, and there's a question in about the goaltending, and Manny Villalta he's had stretches this season where he's been awesome, and he's stretches where he just has been kind of not great. And I guess where we could see this happen, but again, Colorado's firepower is so much more than San Diego's. Like the Reign struggled defensively against Colorado in those 3 games, big time. They were on the road though, and Colorado again is a much, much better team, much more offensive team than San Diego is. So I don't think that should be as big of a problem. As far as the goaltenders, like this is a big opportunity for Villalta to try to lead the team to a Calder Cup. He has shown stretches this season where he is more than capable of being a top-end goaltender. However, it just depends which Manny Villalta we get, because I think we've seen kind of the ups and the downs for him this year. And if the Reign aren't going to help him out much in front, as they did against Colorado, as they go deeper, that could be a problem. I don't think it's going to be an issue in the first round because, again, I don't know that San Diego has the type of firepower to really threaten Ontario. So I do think the Reign and their goaltenders are in a comfortable position for this first round, and then after that, we'll see what happens in the matchup is.
Yeah, I think the Reign, in order for them to win the Calder Cup, Villalta is going to have to play his A game. But
Sure.
Like you said, it's like to get past the first round, he's just going to have to. He played decently, and the firepower is going to have to be there. But we saw games earlier in the year when they were fully staffed, right? I mean, we don't want the Kings to lose, but say they lose in the first round of Edmonton, you're looking at rounds 3 and 4. You're getting QB, you're getting Velarde, you're getting Spence, you're getting all these guys, and I think that it's going to be something along the lines of maybe they just have to outscore everybody, and which they did in the earlier part of the season.
Yeah, that'll get
obviously you have to outscore people to win, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and that's going to be tougher. Like those, I can see those type of games later in the playoffs. Like again, if you get against Colorado, I can see that happening. That ain't going to happen. I shouldn't say that. They've had some pretty exciting games against Stockton, but Stockton's going to be a team that isn't going to look to run and gun with you. So you're going to have to be able to bury your opportunities in the power play. So I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because they still have a matchup against San Diego, but as they get deeper, yeah, you have to be able to make sure you can count on your goaltending.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Bond kicks right here. Dustin Brown, RIP for the Kings of this season. Yeah, we started with that, so go back and listen and on that. The man DB23. Forever legend. Let's go predictions. I think we're going a clean sweep here. Two straight games. I think we'll be done after the first 2.
So do I. Again, I just think it's there's too much. There's too much, and especially if you get a Grans, Turcotte, and or Madden back in the lineup, I just think it's too much for San Diego.
I agree. So with 2:45 left, let's close this thing out here. As always, Joe, very nice talking to you. You guys can find our stuff. A plethora of articles got peppered out today with the Dustin Brown news and all this kind of stuff, playoff matchups. We're working on a playoff piece coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. That can be found at hockeyroyalty.com. You can find us on Twitter at hockey_royalty, where lately we've been doing a lot of Twitter spaces. Fun talking to you guys out there. Russell just did one after we clinched, and it's nice talking to Kings fans and getting you involved. Thank you for coming on the YouTube live and getting involved. Joe, where can they find you on the Twitter?
At JW Paterino. And like you mentioned about the playoff previews coming up, I'll have one for the Reign coming out probably on Monday. So,
didn't even know that. Nice. writing it out. And you can find me at Rando Commando 24. Like and subscribe here. Tell all your friends and family about it. Thanks again for our special sponsors in DraftKings. Promo code THPN. That stands for the Hockey Podcast Network, which we are proudly of. All right, Joe, let's go watch the third period of this game, man, friend.
Enjoy the game, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.